Okay, folks. So my name is Aidan Murphy. I'm the head brewer at Galway Hooker and the co-founder. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about our journey over the last 10 years. So we set up our business in 2005, 2006, and that was actually quite an interesting time in the craft beer market in Ireland. Most of the craft breweries up to this stage had set up in the mid to late 1990s, including Porterhouse and Carter Brewing Company and several others. And by the year 2000, there were roughly 12 craft breweries in Ireland. So things were looking good. A lot of 12 new breweries had set up within 5 years, thereabouts. Fast forward to 2005, and that number had dwindled down to 6. So 50% of the craft breweries which had opened in the mid to late 1990s closed down. Now, the reasons for that are quite complex and a discussion for another day, but Oliver touched on the rebate, which is one of the things which helped develop it forward. So the question then would be, why would I want to open a brewery with that kind of a backdrop, with that kind of failure rate? It seemed like a crazy idea. And the answer to that question is really simply just because, I studied food science in college and I developed a real passion for craft beer at that time. And I'd also lived in Germany and the US for a period. And in these, I'd seen how popular and how great these regional craft breweries were in these countries, and they just weren't, they just weren't in Ireland as much. I mean, there were some great craft breweries like O'Hara's and Porterhouse, but those beers were quite regional and you couldn't really get them in the west of Ireland. So it was really just, I suppose a feeling that there was no reason why we couldn't have craft beer in the west of Ireland, and I myself loved it, so that was sort of the reason or the inspiration behind setting up the brewery. So it's one thing saying you want to start a brewery, it's something else to actually do it. I can see a lot of other craft breweries in this room, so we've all been down this road of wanting to do it, having a vision, but it's quite a capital-intensive project, and raising the finance can be difficult, particularly back then. Like I say, with the failure rate as high as it was, the banks, even though it was the height of the boom, the banks would give you money for anything as long as it wasn't a brewery. It was just trying to work out a way to make it happen. But if you remember, I said 50% of the breweries that had opened had closed, so obviously there were opportunities there, so someone else's misfortune was I suppose, our good luck. So one of those breweries which had set up in the late 1990s was in Roscommon, and the people who had opened it had invested quite a lot of money in it, but unfortunately for them, it closed down after about 6 months. And we got talking to the owner. He had been sitting there idle for 5 or 6 years doing nothing. So he'd invested a lot of money. He was quite burnt by the whole thing and disillusioned with the whole craft beer idea. So he was more than happy to offload it to us at an extremely competitive rate. So we were very fortunate in that regard, in that we were able to kind of get the brewery off the ground without any major investment. So I'll just talk a little bit about our sales history. In 2007, we sold 30,000 litres of beer in the whole year. That was our first full year of production. That really is a minuscule amount of beer, and quite frankly below sustainable levels. So the only reason we were able to keep our heads above water was because we were lucky enough to be able to keep our cost base as low as we had. But it really was tough at the start. And at the very beginning, I used to go around. I had a little Renault 5. I used to deliver kegs from the back of that. And I remember one morning going into a very busy bar in Galway, and I was there at 6 or 7 in the morning, and the Guinness truck arrived just before me. So I had to watch them offload 40 or 50 kegs, and patiently wait there just with my one half-size keg which I was delivering. So half an hour later, once the Guinness guys had finished off, I was there rolling my little lonely keg into the bar, and the driver looked at me, the Guinness driver, and half in sympathy, half in amusement, and he kind of went, "Really? Was it worth getting out of bed to deliver that?" I don't think he was being cruel. I just think it was a legitimate question. It was one I asked myself. But but I believed it was worth getting out of bed to deliver that keg, because I believed we were at the start of a journey, and you know, we were prepared to work hard and do whatever it took to make it happen. So fast forward to this year, and this year we're on track to hit sales of about 550,000 litres, which is about 1 million pints. So this represents about an 18-fold increase in sales since 2007. So obviously we're very happy with that. You know, it's still a small brewery, still a small craft brewery, but it is getting into, you know, into the realms of being kind of a reasonable size. So this is just a graph outlining our sales over that period of time. So obviously we're quite happy with that. So how did we manage to do this? Well, the first thing is, I suppose, we had a vision. We knew what we wanted to do. Oliver touched on the fact that they brewed an IPA in the early days, and people spat it out, didn't know what it was. You know, they were just confused. It didn't taste like Budweiser or Heineken or something. You know. So our vision was to do that, to really bring a full flavour pale ale to the market. You know, with a really strong hop character, brewed using natural ingredients and malt, hops, yeast, and water. And really, you know, just do something different, really something unique. As far as we were concerned, you know, trying to produce a clone of Heineken or Guinness or any of the major brands would have been a very bad idea, you know, because if you did that, really, you're just getting into the arena of competing with, you know, in terms of marketing, and that's a battle you'll never win with the big brands. I guess as a small business, you know, we come across a lot of goodwill. You know, again, our customers, the publicans, would have been used to dealing mainly with multinational companies, and they were really able to relate to two guys who were brewing the beer down the road, working hard, making the beer, and they really liked the fact that, you know, the guy who delivered the beer was the same guy who brewed the beer, was the same guy who, you know, cleaned the lines, and the same guy who rang you up, given out that you hadn't paid the invoice. So, like, we were all things to them. So, you know, we really got to know our customers, and they got to know us. And I have to say, we've always received a lot of support from the trade right from the beginning. So I think that has been a crucial part of our success. Again, a bit of a cliche, and it's fairly obvious, but, you know, an overnight success after 10 years hard work. You know, it's just been a day-by-day process, getting out there, trying to get new accounts every day, every week, every month, every year, and slowly growing the business. No great grand strategy, nothing like that. Just get up, put the product in front of people, and do your best, and really that's all there is to it. So I think this idea of co-opetition is really, really important in our particular industry. So co-opetition is this idea where, although we are competitors, we cooperate with each other. That is also all of us as craft brewers. You know, the craft beer market in Ireland is still at about 2% of the market, and you know, we all realise that it makes a lot more sense to work together to grow that segment, and we'll all benefit from that rather than squabble over that 2%. So we all, the brewing community, the craft brewing community, is a small community. We all know each other. It's a growing community, but it's a small community. We all know each other, and we all help each other out. And I think, you know, Oliver touched on this when we were at the Hot Press conference a few weeks ago. But you know, I remember when we started out in 2007, just struggling to get by, and I got a phone call from Oliver in the Porterhouse, and he's there. Hi Aidan, would you be interested in stocking your beers in our product in our pub? And I couldn't believe it. I just thought, well, of course, but why would you want to stock our beer? You know, you can brew your own beers. You don't need us. And he went, well, you know, I like your beer and I want to support you, and that was it. And likewise, Seamus O'Hara from Carlo Brewing, you know, he gave us a lot of support and advice prior to setting up, and a lot of meetings with him, and valuable advice from him. So, and I like to think that we've helped some of the other guys who come behind us as well get off the ground. So, this is something that I think is really important in our industry, and it's been one thing that has helped the craft market grow. Obviously, one of the advantages we have as a small brewery is we're small, flexible, we can adapt quickly. So we deliver a beer to a bar. They pour the beer straight there. We get immediate feedback, and we can make an adjustment in the brewery the next day. So if our customers are telling us the beer is too bright or too dark or too sweet or too bitter, or whatever they're telling us, we can adjust. And I think that is something that that we're able to do. We can even do tailor beers to individual bars, and all of these things are advantages that the craft small brewer has over the big multinational brands. I have sometimes in there because I also believe that if you have a strong conviction about something, that you need to stick to your guns on that. Again, before we launched our beer, we did a lot of research, we did a lot of consumer surveys, we talked to a lot of people in trade, and all the data coming back to us told us that we should produce a craft lager. It was unambiguous. But we really strongly believed that was the wrong path to go down, and we stuck to our guns, and we produced this full flavour pale ale. And then when we did produce it and we brought it to market, we had to go out and meet the customers and tell them why we hadn't met their expectations. And we actually had to change their minds. We had to change their ideas of what they should be drinking and what they should receive. We're in craft beer, craft spirits. It's great fun. We all love what we do. We all have a passion for it. So again, we've always tried to make a point of bringing that fun and that passion into our business. If it's in the workplace or with our customers, we try to engage with them, try to share that passion we have for the brand. So what we do is we hold regular tours in our brewery, and we bring in bar staff from various accounts around Dublin and Galway and various other places, and really just try to explain to them what it is we do, what we're different, tell our story. And again, this is so important because I can tell you that one of the most important factors influencing how well our beer sells in any account is whether or not the staff in that account are behind it. So it could be the greatest bar in Dublin, the busiest bar in Dublin, but if the staff aren't interested, you can forget about it, and you can go to the smallest, remotest, crappiest little bar somewhere else, and if that guy behind the counter loves your beer, it'll sell. So this is a photo of a tour we did in Galway with Galway staff a few years ago. This is just a more recent one that we did in our brewery a few weeks ago. So just a little bit about our more recent growth and our planned future growth. So we moved into a new brewery last year. Up until then, we had been really hamstrung in terms of production. We'd reached maximum capacity, so we couldn't expand any further, and it was really creating a lot of problems for us. So ever since we moved in there, we don't know ourselves. We've just got so much extra capacity. So this is a photo of the new brewery. That's me in the blue hoodie there. So up until last year, because we were at maximum capacity and we couldn't produce enough of our existing pale ale, there wasn't really a possibility to consider even increasing the range. So just in the last year, we've increased our range of products just to try and make, if nothing else, make life a little bit more interesting in the brewery. It's pretty mundane, doing the same thing every day. So we've now got 4 products. We've got our pale ale, which is the original one. We've got a stout, an India pale ale, and a dark lager. So I guess at the moment, exports make up about 5 to 10% of our business. So we see that a lot of our future growth will probably come from export. As I said to you earlier, when we started off, there were 6 craft breweries in Ireland. There are now, I'm not sure, over 60. So, the market in Ireland is getting quite crowded, and whilst we believe we will continue to grow in Ireland, we do believe that we're going to have to start to look at export as well. So we've identified markets such as Scandinavia, the UK, and continental Europe. And finally, I suppose, you know, for a very long time, our business was just, you know, two guys running the business together. And if two guys work together for 10 years, you know, it's hard to keep it fresh, it's hard to keep coming up with new ideas. And, you know, we recognise that. So, you know, in the last year we tried to bring in some new blood into the business, so we hired a new sales and marketing manager in Dublin, and he's bringing some new ideas into the business to freshen things up a little bit. But that's it. Thank you.